Hello, welcome back to Toba. We're at the Larone auction. I've got the honor of speaking to PJ Budler. If you missed it, we had a great discussion around cattle and a few examples of what longevity I think would be for me would be the main thing. What makes cattle that special? And we're going to talk a little bit of what we see here today, where the limousines are, and PJ's thought on this auction. Come have a listen. PJ, how are you?
Good, Tinus. Yeah.
Always great to have you back in South Africa.
Yeah.
And what a day to do it.
It's magic. The mountains and the green grass and the sun shining. Perfect day.
PJ, we've been speaking about the breed and the limousine in South Africa for quite a while now. And if you walk through these animals here, you can see South Africa is just in the limousine side, it's just on the next level, if I want to call that, compared to what I see elsewhere. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, absolutely, Tinus. I think what they've done is they've maintained some identifying breed character, from the original Limousin cattle, but they've made them practical and functional. They've made them a more industry-relevant frame. They've added flesh and fattening ability to them, and they've fixed things like feet and udders and testicles, which a lot of the original Limousins didn't have. So this definitely sets them apart from Limousin cattle in other places.
PJ, you've got a good eye when it comes to cattle, and you walk through here. Yesterday I saw the heifers in their camp, the young heifers, and for me I think these heifers are just like a new level up.
Yeah.
I don't know if my eyes are lying to me, but I thought when I looked at them, I mean, there's a jump here. Am I right in saying that?
I think the younger cows with calves, those heifers with calves, are definitely a step, a division ahead of the older cows. And there's some of the very best cattle on the sale are those heifer calves. Yeah. I think there's some exceptional cattle there.
Yeah. But that is what you want as a breeder. You want, and it's like they say with success, they normally say overnight success, but that comes with 10, 22 decades of breeding. Suddenly becomes successful. You can see the jumps, and that's now happening for them.
Yeah, look, this is not an accident, and it's, you don't get lucky in breed cattle like this. It's years of obsession and sweat and time and treasure and talent, and whatever he gets today, and it looks like it's going to be a really good sale, he deserves it, because that whole family has put so much into this. And then their advisors over the years have also, like, Willie Diache, those guys have put so much into this as well. So yeah, I mean, whatever they get, no one can say they didn't work for it. I mean, they've earned it.
Yeah. I'm going to quickly stand still at the cow we saw last night.
Yes.
I think he's 19 years old.
Yeah.
19 years old, and with 17 calves, on her way to the 17th.
Yeah, she's in calf for the 17th calf.
We talk about longevity in much of the in the local breeds, but if you look at this, there's no difference, and that longevity is what you want. And if you look at her feet, for me that was amazing to see that on an animal of almost 19 years.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons she made it to 19, is because of her skeletal integrity. And the interesting thing about feet is all calves are born with good feet. The feet go bad because of upper skeletal problems, and she's so good in her spine, she's good in her shoulder, she's good in her hip and hind leg, and that's why her feet have held up so well. She's still very good in terms of her skeletal integrity. She's still easy fleshing. Her udder ligaments for an old lady are very well held up. Her teat size is still good. And like we said yesterday, longevity is a trait that you breed for, and one of the 4 traits I believe you actually breed for, instead of breeding against those negative outliers. And that's the kind of cow you want to propagate those genetics back into your herd, because it's so expensive to replace females in a herd. It's just too expensive to keep a whole lot of heifers that aren't giving you anything year on year, instead of keeping older females that are giving you something year on year.
Yeah. If you look at it, that is the sort of cow from a stud breeder's point that you want to flush.
Absolutely.
That is the sort of thing, and that's the thing you want to take in line breeding. Yeah. Make sure you understand where those genetics come from, and get that set in your herd. And I think people can take a little from it.
I think there's a dangerous trend now to be putting very young cattle into embryo programs, and the justification there is you're turning the genetics over quicker, but you can go very quickly in the wrong direction if you do it that way, where if you use a more conservative model where you're using proven genetics to move forward with, you're going to have a lot fewer misses and a lot more hits that way. So it is more conservative, but at least you're going in the right direction. So I agree with propagating those older proven animals in those embryo programs.
Yeah. The problem with that is you get that sentiment where I did spend 100,000 rand on this embryo. I don't want to get rid of it. I need to make my money back.
Yeah.
And that becomes an issue if you flush heifers, and something that we need to consider before we do that.
Yeah, I think it's dangerous. Let them prove themselves first, and if they don't work out, regardless of how much you spent on them, I mean, the best financial decision is to cut your losses and walk away, because the more you propagate those issues into your herd, the longer you have to live with them.
Yeah.
So.
I think inside breeding sentiment is probably one of the most dangerous things you can have. Buying an expensive bull and then forcing that to work for you. And sometimes you have to go, listen, this was a mistake. And we need to move back from that and move in a different direction as soon as we can. And that's something we need to understand and learn from. And I think from an embryo point of view, that should be a way of thinking. I want to stand still quickly there. If I use a bull in an embryo program, how would you go about choosing a right bull on a good female embryo?
Yeah. So getting back to your sentiment comment, I think sentiment is probably one of the biggest issues in any industry or any part of life. I heard someone once say it's like peer pressure from dead people. It's not worth pursuing. So to try and steer away from peer pressure, from sentiment, it's always going to be a positive move. I think with regards to selecting the right kind of bull and female for embryo programs, again, this is going to be such a boring, bland answer, but balance, to find those cattle that have got those 4 traits to select for: the adaptability, the functional efficiency, the fertility, and the longevity, and then make sure they're not negative outliers on any other trait. So you don't want to put animals into an embryo program that are extreme on the negative side of anything. So even if they're incredibly, well fleshed and well balanced, but they've got no milk, you don't want to, or they have a lot of milk, but they're a little harder doing and not as easy fleshing. So you avoid all that kind of stuff, or if they're too big or too anything. Because with embryos, remember now, you're having litters, you're not having calves. So when you're propagating litters, you need to make sure that there's balance and some security in that litter, because now you're not making potentially one mistake, you're going to make 10 mistakes at once, which you want to try and avoid that.
PJ, always a pleasure talking to you. Yeah, and we'll probably do this very soon.
Thank you, Tinus. Lovely to see you.
Yeah. Okay, there you have it. That is our opinion of what we think about things over here and in cattle farming overall. We'll see you at the next event. Cheers.